Hello there everyone, my name is Lawrence Luce von Einswold and welcome back to Lawrence and the Limelight. I no longer have to speak in a funny British accent. I'm free. So then everybody, my name is actually Silver, welcome back to Lawrence and the Limelight, the D&D after show thing for the Dungeons & Dingoes podcast. You can check us out in the various links down below. We stream on Twitch, and we are a podcast that is on all podcasting platforms. I've been playing D&D with my good buddies for the past few weeks, and it's been really fun. However, the last episode, episode 30, was an absolute banger, and I just absolutely have to talk about it. Why is my encoding overloaded again? Whatever. Anyways, guys, OBS problems aside, this episode was a thick sode, everybody. My god, we actually ended up playing for an hour longer than usual, and yeah, there was a lot going on, and I made a bit of a decision that has changed things quite a lot. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, let's get right into it. So, the episode started out fairly normal. We were fighting some spiders that were hanging outside the room that I believe we were... Were we taking a rest in there after we killed the ghost? I can't remember. But in any case, the spiders started attacking us, so we got into a bit of a fight with them. But then, lo and behold, some bugbears showed up as well. So we were already dealing with these spiders, and then there was a little bit more combat. If you're unfamiliar, bugbears is essentially giant goblins, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know why they're called bugbears. And then the black spider showed up. Now, he is this guy who... If you've been paying attention to the story of the lost minds of philanderers, then you will probably know that the Black Spider is a dude who runs a crime syndicate. I thought the Black Spider was the name of the organization itself, that is this big crime thing. But no, it turns out the Black Spider is actually a person, and he is a big scary wizard dude, and he shows up with his bugbears, and of course he's talking in an Australian accent because he's from the Underdark, and everyone knows that drows are from down under. Oh god, that was well played, DM, but also I hate you. But yeah, so he shows up and he is a drow elf. Drow elves are basically dark elves. They're from a place called the Underdark. And yeah, so he showed up with his bugbears and tried to kill us, and it was a very long combat. There was ice spells, there was bugbears, there was spiders and poison. Me being a dummy and running through the poison mushrooms in the last episode, me and Lothan were poisoned, which means we had a disadvantage on all of our attacks. I actually ended up rolling 3 nat 20s, and with this disadvantage, it ended up being shit rolls. But yeah, I guess because I was rolling 2 dice, I had a higher chance to roll high, but I mean 3 crits, bro, like, come on. A pretty insane episode, pretty insane stuff. We ended up fighting all these dudes, but then everything sort of came together in such a perfect way, and I decided that it was time. It was time. I had to light my own lantern in this dark cave because Soph had gone to the other side of the room and I couldn't see. I was at the exit of the cave that we came from, where with the mushrooms behind us. And if you're unfamiliar, guys, I'm going to be doing a video on it later today, but I'm actually leaving for New Zealand soon. I'm going on a bit of a trip, and it's going to be a kind of a big deal. So yeah, going to be heading overseas, and the time difference is going to be fairly different. For 7 o'clock here in Australia, I think it's going to be 11 o'clock for me in New Zealand, so by the time we finish, it'll be 1 o'clock for me, and I just don't think I'm going to be able to continue doing the podcast as much as I would like to. I'm going to sneeze. So we'll see how we go. Maybe I can continue with the podcast, maybe I can't, but in any case, I thought I would end things on my terms and let Lawrence get out of here. Oh my goodness, I didn't plan on this at all, it just sort of happened, it felt natural, and Lawrence showed his true colors and showed his cowardice, which is unfortunate. So we were in this situation, the black spider was bearing down on us, the bugbears were beating us all up, and Lawrence took this strange opportunity to just go ahead and leave, unfortunately. So my crow, or my raven rather, Bartleby the Raven, he is a messenger raven for the Einswold family, and he is a awakened raven. We're getting into a little bit of story about my raven friend. I'm sorry, but my goodness, I have to talk about it because I put so much thought into my character. So Bartleby is an awakened raven. If you're unfamiliar what that is, I believe druids specifically are able to do this to their familiars or something rather. An awakened familiar essentially just means they're a lot more big brain, they're smarter, and they're able to speak humanoid languages. Common, or can they speak any language, like Elven or something? I don't know. But in any case, Bartleby is a very smart boy. He is so smart, in fact, that he realizes that his intelligence could just make things more difficult for him in his life, so he's only revealed the fact that he's able to speak and understand people to Joseph, Lawrence's father. Between Bartleby and Lawrence, their relationship is sort of, Lawrence just assumes that Bartleby is able to mimic sounds that he hears, like every other kind of raven. So Bartleby has this sort of thing where he says words to Lawrence and it makes him laugh, and I suppose it amuses Bartleby that it amuses Lawrence, so that's just kind of like a little fun dynamic that they have. But yeah, anyways, Bartleby brought me this little red coin when he first visited with my extra clothes, and this little red coin, apparently according to the DM, means that my hometown of Mithrin is in some sort of danger or trouble, and Bartleby brought the coin to tell me that something was going on. I probably assume that it's on the DM's end for saying like, hey, like you used your raven to get some new clothes, that's cool, but don't do it again. But it's also maybe that's not the case. Maybe he was just trying to come up with a cool story idea, and I like it. So anyways, in this moment with his teammates very wounded and dying and just shit hitting the fan, Lawrence looks at the little coin in his pocket and realizes that maybe it's time for me to go. I must help my hometown of Mithrin and get out of here. I know it's a pretty shit thing to do, but yeah, I think I like that about, you know, he's had this coin in his pocket for a long time. He's been thinking about his hometown, he's been thinking about his family, and he finally makes the decision to go help them and end this brutal business of this cave. So very difficult decision, but I think in the end it was a good one, because the party never saw it coming. The people in Twitch chat never saw it coming. Hey, very cool. So anyways, guys, that's about all that happened in the episode. I buggered off, and the party actually managed to survive. Some big heals came from our cleric and our druid, and they were able to fight back the bugbears, and the black spider, the drow elf man, actually ran away. Actually, so funny. He disappeared from sight, he turned invisible, and then our cleric Soth made an attack at disadvantage because he knew, like, he could hear the pitter-patter of his footsteps as he was going around him to turn right. And he's invisible, and Soth managed to hit him at disadvantage, so he's like, ah, fuck, ah. I think that was really, really funny. Oh my goodness. So, really, really thick-sewed, real good episode, my goodness. Like, when I made the decision to leave, and I was like, everyone, I looked down at my coin and I decided to head out the cave. I'm not kidding you, bro. My heart was palpitating, my hands were shaking. I was just like, whoa. That was some freaking, oh, that's some good D&D. So then, everybody, thank you for watching this episode. That was a little bit of stuff about the episode and why I decided to leave. In classic fashion, with the last few Lawrence and the Limelights, I'm going to go a little bit more in depth into some characters, but I will take this moment to talk about Lawrence a little bit more. One final little discussion, and the big secret about Lawrence that I've been holding this whole time. Hey. So then, a funny little tidbit about Lawrence that I wanted to sort of come across at some point in the podcast. The reason why his family is so rich back in his hometown of Mithrin is because his family own and operate a silver mine. YouTube references. Yes, so he runs a silver mine. He has spent most of his life around ore and gems and silver. I was eventually going to try and use my skills to get good prices on the garnet that I had and the diamonds and stuff. I was gonna, like, you know, do a persuasion check or something, but here we are. So that's a funny little tidbit about him. I like to think that his hometown of Mithrin, if you've heard of these books, I might have them up here. Hold on a second. Once again, taking a lot of inspiration from books for Lawrence's character, this shit right here, Peter V. Brett, The Painted Man. I cannot recommend this book series enough. This is literally one of my favorite book series. There's 5 books in the series. It's about these demons that rise in the night and kill humans, and it's all about magic and gaining the knowledge to fight back against them. It's so freaking dope. It's a really good series. But in this book series, there's a city called Millen, or Milne, M-I-L-N, and it's sort of this city made out of these iron walls, and I like to think that Mithrin is a little bit like that. It has these sort of similar, like, just plates of like steel and iron to protect the city. So yes, that's kind of the idea that I came from Mithrin, and it's like this mining town and stuff. So that's where Lawrence comes from. And yeah. And now we come to the big secret about Lawrence Lolus von Einsvold, the thing that I've been holding back from my teammates for this whole time, and my second character idea. Now then, I put a lot of thought into this, and I don't know why I did, but here we are. Right then, so let's get into it. So Lawrence's second name, Lolus, Lawrence Lolus von Einsvold. When I was coming up with Lawrence's name, I looked at some name generators to come up with some things, and the Lolus name came from a name generator that was the names of gods. Burp, excuse me. So I thought the Lolus name would be cool for like his sort of middle name, and because it came from a god generator, the idea got into my head. Ooh. So then, Lolus the Virulent was an ancient god of nature that ruled over the town of, or the area of Mithrin many thousands of years ago. Lolus was sort of not a very nice person, or a nice god. She was all about, you know, the laws of nature, the survival of the fittest, like if you're not strong enough to protect yourself, fuck you, that sort of thing. So, Lawrence's father, Joseph, was a big fan of ancient ruins and ancient texts and uncovering the past, and Lawrence's father, Joseph, found an old book in the library of Mithrin detailing the sort of exploits and the journey and the dealings of Lolus, this goddess. And obviously the text was, you know, maybe tampered with, maybe some things had happened and Lolus had sort of changed it herself, I don't know, but in this text she was detailed as being sort of, you know, a nice god or sort of a good sort of thing, but in reality she wasn't really. So Joseph loved this story so much that he decided to name his child after this goddess. Now, if you're unfamiliar how gods work in D&D, they more often than not work on the idea of faith of their followers gives them power. So this small act of Joseph naming his son after this goddess gave Lolus a small amount of power, enough for her to be able to attempt to reincarnate and come back into the mortal plane. So dope, I know. So yeah, upon Lawrence's death, this was going to be the catalyst that Lolus needed to manifest her new form in this world. So it was going to be really freaking cool. I was going to ask the DM to like do this little scene, like, you know, the camera pans over Lawrence's dead body after everyone's gone and my teammates have moved on or whatever, and there's like green swirling energy and the wind picks up and then it kind of all fades to black, and then my character Lolus appears. That would have been very, very cool. Now, for her design, I wanted Lolus to be a centaur. It was going to be very, very cool. She was going to be a centaur, you know, from the bottom down a horse, sort of, I guess, like black and white maybe, and then from the top up she was sort of this pristine-looking elven lady, but also she has massive antlers. So like these crazy, like forked out, like not quite like deer antlers, kind of more like pointy and kind of coming up. So altogether I wanted her to be like 8.5, maybe 9 feet tall with the antlers and the centaur. So she would have been, you know, not that great for caverns or getting inside of houses. But yeah, she was going to be this freaking crazy ass centaur lady with massive horns. Maybe she has like a different like form that she can transform into, like a regular sort of human size, or like if she was going to transform into any sort of animals, I think she would transform into a giant lizard, which would be really cool. And the virulent part comes from the fact that I wanted her to be a Circle of Spores druid, which is a type of druid that's able to shoot poisonous spores as their bonus action. Shout out to Not Another D&D podcast. If you're familiar with that podcast at all, then you should check them out. or if you're not, you should check them out because it's really, really good podcast. But yes, that character from their show is a Circle of Spores druid, and I just think it'd be really cool to play one of those. But in any case, that would have been my character, and the more I thought about it, though, then the more I came up with this idea. Like, I didn't know how to play Lurloose. Like, I don't think I could be evil, I suppose. Like, I suppose, obviously, I wouldn't be evil and try to mess up my teammates purposely, but I think I would kind of try and be like, oh, you're not strong enough to fight, and that sort of thing. But yeah, as I said, the more I thought about it, the more I just didn't really think I knew how to play this character, so yeah. Oh, it's good to get that all off my chest. Oh my goodness gracious me. Anyways, guys, that was my big brain thinking about the character too much. I hope you enjoyed my portrayal of Lawrence, and I hope you enjoyed the story of the second character that I wanted to potentially go into. But for the time being, ladies and gentlemen, I think I might take a step back from the Dungeons & Dingoes podcast. We'll see how we go next week. I am going to be in New Zealand in a place called Mount Hutt, and by the time my teammates are playing D&D, it's going to be very late at night for me, and I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to attend the podcast in the future. But in any case, we'll get to that when we get there, and we'll figure it out. Maybe I'll be able to rejoin as a new character, because quite honestly, I think the party is probably going to try and murder Lawrence the next time they see him. Thank you for watching this episode of Lawrence and the Limelight. This whole D&D podcast after show has been an interesting idea, but here I am continuing to do it on my own. Yes, whatever. It would have been cool to have my teammates here, but in the end it just became a little bit too difficult, so whatever. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching this silly little show. I hope you enjoyed all my D&D big brain shenanigans. Maybe the next character I make will just be me barbarian, me smash, and there's just no backstory whatsoever. I don't know. Alright then, guys, thank you for watching, and check out the Dungeons & Dingo podcast on Twitch and Twitter and Google Podcasts and shit. Link in the description down below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one, guys. Bye!